All right, everybody, welcome back into the Clubhouse Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Frank Straub, and today we are going to be doing my final ultimatum mock draft for the NFL. Of course, the draft is a week from today. We're recording this Thursday, April 16th, 16th, and it should go up sometime next week, probably a day right before the draft, Wednesday, coming out after Darius Slay DB breakdown by Nate, but before the draft, so right in the middle there. So let's get right into it. With the first pick in the 2020 Clubhouse Sports Podcast mock draft 3.0, the Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow. What else is what's to be said that hasn't been said already? He is a quarterback with excellent accuracy, lacks big arm strength, but has good poise and accuracy and confidence. And one of the best QBs in the pocket coming out in terms of presence and awareness. Like I said with Mike a couple months ago, maybe scheme dependent at the next level because of that lack of arm strength, but it shouldn't be a problem with Zach Taylor. Very ingenuitive mind, of course, coached under Sean McVay, and they have enough draft capital picking at the start of each round to shore up that offensive line in front of him. And they're going to build a nice little offense as we see the years progress. With the second overall pick in the mock draft, the Washington Redskins are on the clock, and they select Chase Young, edge rusher, Ohio State. Now, the thing is, you can play around with a bunch of different scenarios. Maybe they take a quarterback, maybe they trade down, but he is the best player in the draft. So it's very hard to pass up on him, especially when you don't have like an extremely impact edge rusher. Pair him next to Montez Sweat with his complete game, incredible strength, speed, bendiness, accompanied with excellent side-to-side agility, complements his power beautifully with elusiveness, and uses his hands very well, which is very rare for a guy coming out. The Bosa's had to teach themselves that, but he had that already. So he's going to be a freaking game wrecker at the next level. Pair his power and speed next to the length and elusiveness of Montez Sweat, and you have a dangerous defensive front for teams that are going to play the Washington Redskins. So with the third pick in the mock draft special, the Detroit Lions are on the clock, and they're going to select Jeffrey Okudah, cornerback, Ohio State University. This is probably the most likely scenario if they don't trade down. And he's fifth on my big board. He has a high football IQ, elite instincts, and discipline. Solid speed, agility. He's great in man coverage. He uses his speed and angles well. He has great closing speed. One-on-one with guys. He's poor in press coverage. He gets bumped off the line a lot. But very high ceiling and very high floor already. So that's a great combination. A lot of athleticism, a lot of talent, and a lot of smarts, like I alluded to with the IQ. So that leaves a multitude of options for the New York Giants. I can't remember a time when the Giants had this many options at a draft selection. You have Isaiah Simmons, probably the best player left on the board. But you also could get a franchise left tackle with Wills, Wirfs, Thomas, or Becton. I said Thomas. But I am going to go Isaiah Simmons. They could also trade down to the 6. Chargers get extra picks and take Simmons there. But for the sake of sanity and fluidity, I'm going to just take him here. Best player on the board, like I said. Versatile, he's athletic, fast as hell with a good pursuit, excellent motor. He's has this great combination of he's slender, but he's also really powerful. So he's going to come in, he's going to hit you all across the box and the line of scrimmage, but he has the size to also cover tight ends, and it's scary that he has the speed as well to do that. You could put him as a down lineman, you could put him as an off-ball linebacker, you can put him as a roaming linebacker, or you could even put him at safety. So the versatility is what's going to win him a selection here. With the 5th pick in the mock draft, the Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa. I think this is the obvious one. He has some injury concern with the hips. He's a lefty QB, so the hitch is there. However, he has more arm talent than Burrow. He's solid at reading coverages, has excellent touch and accuracy over the middle. He's comfortable and diligent in the pocket, going through his progressions. He has a slight hitch in his throw, like I said, and he does miss on out routes sometimes because of it. But you can see that he processes really well, and he'll hit his targets before they're even open, which is a very good sign for a quarterback with potential like that. It's an elite trait if you do possess it. So up to the 6th selection, the Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock, and they're going to select Justin Herbert, quarterback out of Oregon. And Justin Herbert's a guy with a big arm, and that's understating it. Legit pro arm strength. He can push the ball down the field with ease. Struggled with pressure in 2018. Incredibly poised and accurate short. Outside, he's crazy big in the seams. Benefits off play action. Has a quick release and good mechanics. With the departure of Phillip Rivers, I like Tyrod Taylor as a guy who can give you accurate placement on his balls. No pun intended, but you have to go with the higher upside here and make the splash selection with the high upside quarterback, Justin Herbert. Now, with the 7th pick, the Carolina Panthers are on the board. Let me just catch up here with the selections. Chase Young. Okay. All right. We're all caught up. So, the Carolina Panthers, new coach. Cam Newton's no longer a part of the team. They brought in Teddy Bridgewater, extending Christian McCaffrey to a huge contract, 4 years, $64 million, highest paid running back. However, they have a real lack of talent on the interior defensive line. And with Jeffrey Okudah off the board to even replace James Bradbury, we're going to take Derek Brown, defensive tackle, interior defensive lineman out of Auburn. Now, Brown is a guy who, let me find his name here. Okay, yeah, he has a great first step, a fluid combination of speed and power to shed blocks. Scary, fast, and open space. He plays hard, has a thick frame to push into blocks, and he has this really fun spin move that I've mentioned a couple of times. And even as against the top unit like Alabama in the Iron Bowl, you can see his traits shine through. He's very athletic. and he has a lot of pop. So you're just adding talent and playmaking to that defense that is rebuilding and needs it. So the eighth pick, the Arizona Cardinals are on the clock, and they traded for DeAndre Hopkins, so the need for a number one wideout on the outside is not as pressing. So we can go offensive tackle here. I like Jedrick Wills Jr. for them from Alabama. Not my Tristan Wirfs is the most technically sound. He's my favorite. However, I think in that style of offense, Wills' upside athleticism, mostly his athleticism and his springy footwork is going to allow, it's just going to fit in that offense with Kyler, who's very fast. He can block ahead and be very powerful up ahead for Kenyon Drake. You get that franchise left tackle because all of these guys coming out are going to be very prolific starters at the next level. So the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. They could trade up, trade down in real life, or trade up in real life. In this situation, we could trade down. But I'm very high on Javon Kinlaw. I think that he's the selection here. Maybe a little bit of a reach, but I'm actually in love with his game. He has lateral movement and electric speed to die for, his fluid sidestep to beat blocks. He has good length and long arms to push through blocks. He's slightly raw, but that length and bendiness in the interior is kind of a new wave, and it's so helpful when you're trying to shed blocks. So he's a really athletic, explosive talent. Where the Jacksonville Jaguars have a need. Taven Bryan has been fine to more than fine, depending on how you want to look at it. And they have two veteran stopgaps, Al Woods and I'm blanking on the other guy's name, but Yannick Ngakoue is on his way out, and Marcel Darius is gone. So you have to replace them with the future, and that is Javon Kinlaw with Derek Brown off the board. So let's put his name in the simulator here. And yeah, there he is. Okay, so the Cleveland Browns. Offensive tackle here, Tristan Wirfs, Iowa. Surprising he fell this far. The most technically sound offensive lineman, like I said. But and the Browns are getting a really good sound offensive tackle. Good size at 6'5", 322 with a long, thick frame. I've mentioned this plenty of times, but it's worth mentioning again because it is so impressive. Interesting contrast. Wirfs employs two strategies in pass defense. He's patient and waits for the rusher to initiate contact using heavy but disciplined hands to neutralize. He also is employing in run defense more aggressive techniques, initiating contact. Side to side, he can turn his hips really well, and that's the key to his game. It opens things up for him, especially in zone blocking. If that's where the where he's going to end up for the Cleveland Browns, protecting Baker and giving Nick Chubb space on the edge, sealing the edge is very important. Tristan Wirfs is the best guy on the board for that, so his name's already in the board. All right. So, pick 11, the New York Jets. Wide receivers really popular here in mock drafts and reports. Obviously, you have the three best guys still on the board, but we are going to go Andrew Thomas, Georgia. I like him a lot too. I like these offensive linemen a lot, as we've seen. But Andrew Thomas, good size as well as Wirfs, 6'5", 320, more pro-ready than Wills with springy footwork. His size allows him to act as an anchor and absorb contact. Thomas displays good hand placement, health, and consistency for Georgia. However, he is average in zone and pull blocking. In open space, it varies, but I think the Jets are doing a lot of gap anyway, and his power and frame is going to serve them well. So he's in the system. The Oakland Raiders are on the clock, and they have a lot of needs moving to Vegas. Wide receiver and cornerback leading that list. Playmakers on both sides. And my favorite wide receiver, Jerry Jeudy's still on the board. So we're going to take him here out of Alabama. I've sung his praises plenty. Versus fast as hell. He burns on release. Slight improvement in his bump off the line in from 2018 to 2019. Smoothness is off the charts. He can cut corners like nobody else. Change direction with ease, and his footwork is graceful and agile with long, quick, athletic, and great ball skills. He has an advanced catch radius due to athleticism. Due to his athleticism, he can jump really high and he can run really fast. So that's really good for a wide receiver. I don't know if you guys knew that. He's actually really solid in run blocking and can attack at the and initiate contact at the point of attack. So yeah, best wide receiver on the board in my opinion. It's you have a myriad of choices if you're an NFL team and you need a wide receiver in this draft. The top 3 are going to go somewhere in the bottom half of the top 10 and then into the teens, and then there's a ton of talent in the other rounds. But Jerry Jeudy is the first one off the board to the Vegas Raiders, sorry. And so the San Francisco 49ers losing Emmanuel Sanders, losing the Super Bowl, more importantly probably, are on the clock here. They traded up, gave DeForest Buckner to the Indianapolis Colts in exchange for this pick. Many think they traded up for wide receiver. You could see cornerback also here, but the value is here at wide receiver. CD Lamb off the board to the San Francisco 49ers. Second best wide receiver in this draft class, in my estimation. He is probably it's 1A, 1B with him and Jeudy, as I said. He's a little more physical. He's stronger with good ball tracking skills. He adjusts well to balls. He's dangerous, but that physicality is juxtaposed with a fucking lethal game in the open space. He's light on his feet. He's shifty, and he prefers to be vertical as to horizontal because of his blazing speed. However, he's still smooth when cutting. His lateral movement is on point, and he could be physical in contest at the next level. Pass interference might get called a lot in the first couple of years, but that is something you can shelf in favor of his lethal talent. Like I used that adjective already, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. So this is actually the first mock draft. I'm getting an offensive lineman here for them. You can go interior defensive line with Kinlaw in real life. Chason from LSU. Play around with safety, but you could wait to the later rounds for that. But the pick is Mekhi Becton from Louisville. I've actually grown on him a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants actually reach and pick him, and I wouldn't be too upset. He's not my favorite offensive line, but he's damn good. Great size at 6'7", 367, has incredible power, but also speed and footwork. His hands are too heavy at times, but he has no business being as fast and agile as he is at that size. He continues to grow his game. He's very raw. He has to work on technique, but that size and speed is going to serve him well. So the Buccaneers get a anchor on the edge for the future and protect Tom Brady next year, which is very important. I think although he's kind of raw, he can be a day one starter. So slide him in there. So with pick 15, the Denver Broncos are on the board. I think their main need here is a wide receiver, with Emmanuel Sanders obviously gone 2 teams over. And you could also go cornerback here, but I think we're going to wait in favor of Henry Ruggs III from Alabama. Henry Ruggs is a guy who is 19th on my big board. He has an electric speed, electric speed out of the building. He's a fluid route runner to top that off. He's really good at getting to the top of the route, but his ability to create space once it once it's there is fairly one dimensional based on elusivity. Elusive elusive elusivity. Okay, yeah, there we go. I slept for 2 hours last night, so excuse my French and excuse my mishaps here. He saw a lot of different schemes at Alabama. He was flanked out in the flats a lot as a screen, as a ploy in the screen game. But he's just a really good fucking football player. So the Denver Broncos need talent on offense. Give somebody on the outside next to Cortland Sutton for Drew Lock to throw to for a really long time. Have him come over the top and Drew Lock unlock that deep ball, and some beautiful things are going to happen. So moving to 16 with the Atlanta Falcons. So their main needs are on defense here, interior defensive line, cornerback, edge, etc., linebacker. But we are going to go Clervon Chiasson. Very French. Like I said, excuse my French because it's very bad. I don't know how to do French. I'm sorry. I know a little bit of Italian, and that's about it. But Chiasson from LSU is a very, very prolific edge rusher. Probably the second or third best in this class. Second for me. 18th on my big board. He has a long frame, long arms, and explosive. Makes up for lack of size with I lost my place. With elusiveness, and his slender build allows him to duck in and out of tackles' reaches. If he muscles up at the next level, he'll present a dangerous combo of size and speed. So we'll plug him in here. There we go. So we're up to the Dallas Cowboys. They lost Byron Jones in free agency. However, they also lost Robert Quinn, who had 11 and a half sacks, and that has not been replaced yet. With Chiasson off the board, I'm not going to reach for Epineza or Yeturgros Matos. We are going to take CJ Henderson from Florida, a long and rangy playmaker with long limbs to boot, and he has that range allows him to be prolific in man coverage, and he has the speed and instincts to complement that in zone coverage. So you're getting a really good cornerback here with the best in the class to fill an immediate need on the in the defensive backfield for the Dallas Cowboys. So with pick 18, the Miami Dolphins are up. I took a quarterback with their first selection, and there's a lot of defensive talent on the board with me right now. We are going to take Xavier McKinney from Alabama. Sorry, I blanked there. But I like McKinney a lot. My favorite safety prospect. It's a toss-up between him and Delp, but I think he has the slight advantage. Electric pursuit, nose for the ball, etc. He makes up for his aggressiveness with speed. He has serious pop when he does make contact in the open field. Explosive out of his stance, especially light on his feet. The transition from his back foot into when he turns his hips into an assignment is really impressive. And then in coverage, he has the size, frame, and strength, most importantly, strength, to be physical in man coverage, and additionally, and has the speed and agility to close angles in zone. One of his most impressive aspects of his game is that attack on in pursuit. So Very similar to Minka Fitzpatrick, very similar to Grant Delpit more so, but in terms of talent, McKinney here at 18. So the Oakland Raiders are on the clock. Took wide receiver with their first selection. And I think the pick here gave them Jerry Jeudy. So the pick here is Christian Fulton from LSU. Very physical corner. Has good ball separating skills, can separate the ball from the receiver, a playmaker. He seems like a John Gruden guy, and I alluded to it with Nate and the guys from Fantasy Clinic. More so than CJ Henderson just because of the physicality. So Christian Fulton off the board here at 19 with the Raiders' second pick of the first round. That's the Chicago Bears selection, I believe. So the Jacksonville Jaguars now with their second pick of the mock draft. And I'm going to take Patrick Queen from LSU. With the corners off the board, you could reach wide receiver here, but Patrick Queen is really, really good. And they're in the market for an off-the-ball linebacker. And with his versatility, just like Simmons, you could really do anything you want with him. So positional limitations are not a factor here. He has a great motor. He's explosive. His side-to-side agility and speed is excellent. I fell in love with Devin White last year. I was calling hundreds and hundreds of times, it seemed like, for the Giants to take Devin White. Patrick Queen is very similar, so if you can get him here at 20, he's 21st on my big board just because this draft is so loaded, then that would be really good to add more talent to that defense. You go Javon Kinlaw and then Patrick Queen behind him, literally and figuratively, both in the draft and on the football field. That is a dangerous start to a rebuild on your defensive end, and then on your defense, and then you get on the back end some playmakers at corner and safety, defensive back. Watch out for the Jaguars in a couple of years if things fall right. So we'll clock him in here. Where is his name? There we go. Okay. So pick 21, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to go wide receiver here. It just depends on what wide receiver. And I think that it'll be Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is a guy who best wide receiver on the board in my estimation. He 22nd on my big board. Good route runner with a strong, long frame. However, what the Eagles need, and this could be a problem, he has a difficult time finishing downfield, but is an excellent blend of size and agility in the 5 to 10 yard range. Put him in the slot, and then hopefully for upside, his size and speed leads to some outside finishes on the outside as an X guy. But if you want to develop him in the slot, that's fine. Based on value and talent, Justin Jefferson to the Eagles at 21. So we'll clock that in. Where are we? There we go. All right, so the Minnesota Vikings with their first pick of the first round. And they have plenty of needs ranging from cornerback to edge to wide receiver. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is no longer on the roster. So we are going to go T. Higgins here. Now, the similarity is he has some similarity to actually scratch that, not T. Higgins. Kenneth Murray. Again, Kenneth Murray is one of those guys where you can slide him in anywhere, strictly at the linebacker position or specifically at the linebacker position. But he's so versatile, he can offer you so many things that it's hard not to. Positional need is not really a factor here. And I mean, talent on the defense always helps. He's athletic and twitchy, a 3-down linebacker. He covers better than Queen, but sacrifices discipline and some explosiveness on pursuit. So having a guy that can cover in zone and take good angles is very important for any defense. And it's, again, you're starting to rebuild that defense, and we're going to see at 25 that's most important. So yeah, sorry I confused people with the Higgins pick, but I'm going to go Murray here. So the New England Patriots are up, and there's tons of things they could do here. I'm not a big Stidham guy, so I'm gonna go Jordan Love from Utah State. Love 29th on my big board, so a bit of a reach, but in terms of need and positional value, I think it's a good one. He's athletic, good touch on his balls with good arm strength. He's poised and confident. Ball security and decision making can be coached, but when you're under Bill Belichick, everything can be coached. So yeah, Jordan Love here, 23. Now let's just find his name because it's gonna be a little low. Okay, so we're moving to 24 with the New Orleans Saints. Justin Jefferson would have been nice here, but and oh, so would Kenneth Murray and Patrick Queen, but unfortunately, they're not on the board. So we're gonna go Jeff Gladney from. Is he from TCU? TCU? No. Yeah, he is from TCU. Sorry. He has good size at 6 foot. 6 foot 183, a little undersized, but allows for him to be patient and focus on technique. His ball skills are really prominent. He possesses length on his frame and puts optimal amounts of stress on throwing windows with his long arms. So much like C.J. Henderson, the length is what really wins him the pick here. And the New Orleans Saints, obviously, with putting somebody next to Marshawn Lattimore who can make plays, it should be really important. I mean, they had Eli Apple and Janoris Jenkins kind of funnel in there last year. So, yeah, we're going to go Jeff Gladney. Now, pick 25 is a little bit easier for me. Yetur Gross-Matos, edge rusher, Penn State to the Minnesota Vikings. He, for one, is a player who not the most athletic or not the most sizable, but much like Montez Sweat last year, he's long and bendy, agile with good hands. So the technical aspects here and some of the physical traits are really good. With Everson Griffin on the market, you have to get a pass rusher in today's league. And Yetur Gross-Matos can hopefully grow into one that is going to be a wrecker at the next level. Now, so we'll slot him in here. There we go. So the Miami Dolphins with the third pick of the first round. I'm going to go DeAndre Swift here. They could use talent on both sides of the ball. And with the linebackers gone, you took safety with the 18th pick and obviously quarterback with the 5th pick. And Grant Delpit's on the board. But DeAndre Swift, a guy who had 73 receptions last year, giving whoever's going to play quarterback a guy to dump the ball off to. And as a runner, he's not the most powerful or the one with the best vision. I think Dobbins, you know what? I'm gonna go J.K. Dobbins here. I kind of got off track, but Dobbins is my favorite runner in the league. In the class, excuse me. I'm kind of going off the rails here. Fuck. DeAndre Swift, good pass catcher, but J.K. Dobbins offers a little bit more. Good vision, burst out of the hole. He maintains his acceleration in the open field. He's physical in the first and second levels. He changes his direction well, and he's a very good pass catcher himself. I think he's the most complete. So we're going to go Dobbins here to the Miami Dolphins, add some talent to that backfield. Let's just put his name in. Okay. There we go. All right. So with the 27th pick in the mock draft, the Seattle Seahawks are going to select AJ Epineza. Now, Epineza is a where's his name? I don't know read his thing. There we go. So he's good at size in terms of length. His game is predicated heavily on power over speed. He has good fluidity and movement, but lacks first step explosiveness. Big hands and good placement. He can get beat on the point of attack. He has poor lateral movement, but with a good motor. He plays past the whistle, and he's very intense. So with Jadeveon Clowney leaving, the Seattle Seahawks need a premier pass rusher, and I think you're not getting Chase Young, but you're getting a very powerful, talented player here off the edge. AJ Epineza to the yeah, I'm only gonna do 1 round. I put it in for 2 rounds, but I'm not filling up for 2 rounds. That's what she said. So the Ravens with the linebackers off the board, it's very very plausible they can move back here. They don't need a safety. They don't really need an edge rusher. So we'll say they swap with the Colts or with the Bengals, and we're gonna have the Bengals move up and give a. They're gonna swap 3rd round picks, and we're gonna have the Bengals select Cesar Ruiz here at the 28th pick. I alluded to them protecting Joe Burrow. You got to protect your asset. And I'd love for the Giants to get him, but Ruiz is here. I want to read his scouting report that I did on him for the website. I'll just do that. He is a solid anchor. I think his size speaks for itself. But let me just continue here. Drafts. Okay, a little bit of a spoiler here for the article, but I'm going to get into it in a second. Okay, so there we go. So for the Cincinnati Bengals, I think Ruiz fits the bill as a prospect with a thick frame. He gets to his assignment well with good hand placement and strength. His fluid combination of power and mobility makes up most of his game. Similar to Mekhi Becton, Ruiz's size and speed is surprising, but will no doubt help him at the next level. He's versatile in both the sense that he can take snaps at center or right guard. He started 26 of his 31 games at center and 5 at right guard, as well as his mobility, allowing him to play in both gap and zone blocking schemes. So hopefully that paints a little bit of a picture of what kind of player Cesar Ruiz is, and the Bengals trade up to actually get him from their 33 spot right here. So we're just going to pretend that happened. And then with the 29th pick, the Tennessee Titans can do a couple things. With the cornerbacks off the board, we're going to look at Josh Jones replacing Jack Conklin. Jones isn't my favorite offensive lineman, but he's a lot like Becton in the sense that his size is going to translate well, but he has to work on some of his technique. He can rush with his hands sometimes when guys get inside on him, but replacing Jack Conklin for the future is very important. And offensive tackles obviously is very important. And maybe the Chiefs would grab him, possibly. But there's a bunch of other things they could do as well. But the Tennessee Titans select Josh Jones. Sorry. So with the 30th pick in the mock draft, we are going to go. Let me think here. The Packers are up. So they need some. They're good on defense. I think they're good in the secondary. Josh Jackson and Jair Alexander should hold them up pretty well. So we're gonna go offense here. They lost Brian Bulaga, but we're gonna give them some talent on the outside. Jalen Rager, from TCU, a more explosive guy than say a T Higgins or Justin Jefferson, but very fast. And I'll give you his read up here. So he has a very developed route tree. And he can explode off of his catch and develop run after catch ability. You can do some under things with him in the slot because of that speed and explosiveness. I think giving Aaron Rodgers somebody to throw to with this dynamic ability, other than Devontae Adams, should be is very warranted, honestly. So with the 31st pick, we are up to the San Francisco 49ers, their second pick of the first round. And so we selected a wide receiver with their first pick, CeeDee Lamb, and we're going to go Grant Delpit here. Grant Delpit should help on the back end. He's the what's his ranking on my big board? Let's find out real fast. 17th. He's best suited at strong safety. Although I think that has changed for me. I think he can play very well at free safety. He's excellent in the box, has the size to cover big receivers and tight ends at the NFL level. In man, has the instincts and awareness in zone. However, he can get lost in routes and take bad angles and deep coverage. On film, he's a great tackler when he does tackle, but obviously there was a problem with the volume last year. But giving the 49ers a playmaker on the back end, which, they just came off a Super Bowl loss, so I don't think it's too much of a pressing kind of thing. But value here. Grant Delpit off the board at 31. So with the 32nd pick, the Chiefs can pretty much do whatever they want. And with a lot of the corners off the board, and obviously Josh Jones, I don't want to reach for Isaiah Wilson to replace maybe Eric Fisher, who's a big cap hit, $11 million owed in 2021. So we are going to switch it up here, and we're going to give them a running back. Obviously, Damien Williams' performance was heralded in the Super Bowl, but any of these guys you could take are just more dynamic than him. And Jonathan Taylor is the next best on the board. He's a powerful back with good complement in space and is has very clean cuts, a tight juker, so to say, and is very dangerous in open space. He has great breakaway speed, probably the best in the class. So you're offering power and speed and ability to navigate the gaps probably better than Damian Williams can. He's just more dynamic. So, yeah, Jonathan Taylor here to close out the first round to the Chiefs. That's all we have for today. As always, thank you for listening. We only had one trade, and I was surprised I was going to do it because the linebackers were off the board, and we had the Bengals move up with the Ravens, division rival. So, yeah, that's all we have for today. Thank you for listening. As always, find us on Instagram, clubhouse.cast. The podcast is found on any audio platform, YouTube, trying to build that up. And then, just we're in a really good space with content right now. We're in a really, really good space with quarantine. And I'm flowing right now. And I think Nate's on board, and we're going to do a lot of good things. I'm trying to work some things out with some other people. And we're just making magic right now. Some shit's, it's really going well in terms of the podcast, in terms of the article. in terms of my life, I think things are kind of in the middle. I have some shit going on at home, but and with coronavirus, obviously, but content is really flowing right now. So I'm ever so grateful for anybody who listens. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.